Hey guys, so I just put the babies down to nap, and I've got a big old bag of scraps that I'm going to take out to the pigs, and then I'm going to try and get in a workout and get some work done in the garden. So I figured I would show you around a little bit. So we did get 3 pigs, like I said in my last video. We mainly got them because we had a part of our land on the other side of this fence that was very overgrown, wooded and overgrown, that we wanted cleared, but we're trying not to till anything up or get big machinery because we want to be, kind of kinder to the land, as kind as we can.
I didn't get that. Could you
try
again?
My watch is listening. Anyways, so we got pigs. I had visited Sally Fallon's farm years and years ago. When we lived in Maryland, turns out she lived like right down the road from us, and learned that pigs are great at clearing the land. Very efficient and obviously more natural. So we got 3 pigs. We got piglets a couple months after not even months, I think a couple of weeks after we moved in. And after a little bit of trial and error, we ended up putting them where we had intended them, which, in the long run caused all sorts of issues because we didn't know, we're learning. Yeah, so let me show you the pigs. So we have 3 pigs here. There's 1. These are Mangalitas. There's 2. There's that big old fat one back there. That's Duke. Oh, actually that's Brian. My daughter named these pigs. Alright, so actually what you see there is our watering system for the pigs. My husband built that. He engineered it himself. The idea of it from the Rhodes family. I'm sure every homesteader or want to be homesteader watches that YouTube channel. They I think had something similar. So we just kind of watched the video and searched online for similar parts and whatnot. Picked up that they're actually old pickle barrels, so they're food grade plastic, and filled it up with water. It's 65 gallons worth. Put a nipple on it, and it keeps them happy and watered for a long time. So far since we've had it, we really only have to fill it once a week, or maybe every like 6 days. So it's working out great if you ask me. Anyway, so here's the part of land that they were working on. As you can see, this is probably about 1 acre. This right here where there's like no vegetation is where they like to frequent, up near the fence. And that's partly probably because the food is here and the water is here. They like to sleep over there in that area. This is where our piggies live. When we first moved in, this portion of our land was pretty heavily overgrown. As you can see over here, just ignore all the junk. It kind of looked like that. Like it wasn't necessarily impassable, but it was very dense, and it was hard to get through it without fighting your way through it. So again, that's why we got the pigs. And I mean, they've done a great job, and in not that much time either. They're pretty efficient. They root around, they dig up, and really what's left is mainly the trees and like the small, like baby trees. Yeah. All right, so those are the pigs. Here's kind of a long end view of our property. We don't have a mower yet, because it turns out things cost money, and when you have a larger property, the things you need cost a lot of money. So one thing at a time. We had to save up for a little bit to get a tractor, and gardening supplies to build the garden. My husband's trying to uproot a tree here, which turned out to be like twice as big as he thought. Here's a bunch of the roots. But this is what we call the backyard, because it's directly behind the house. That behind that fence is where the pigs are. So they have their own kind of pasture, I guess you could call it. Hey, little chickie. So something funny I learned about chickens after we got a bunch of them is that they like to dig holes in the ground and throw dirt on themselves and chill out in the holes to stay cool. Makes sense. I just didn't know that chickens did that. No other animals do that. There's our rooster, Tiger. He's a game cock. He is a game bird. And us being Clemson Tigers, we couldn't have a gamecock on our property. That's nonsense. So we named him Tiger. We have, I don't know, 4 or 5 different breeds of chicken right now. Our yard's a mess, y'all. Don't judge. We've got 2 game hens. There's one right there. And the rooster. These guys back there are high line. They're high producers. There's a handful I don't know the breed of, like this white one. The girls call her Snow White. The bigger black chicken we saw earlier, I don't know what the breed is. Here's our coop. All these structures were here when we bought the property. So that was really great. Here's my favorite chicken. It's a barred rock. Her sister got eaten by a hawk yesterday, so that was a real big bummer. But we just got them. They're still small. We let our hens free range. And we feed them organic feed and scraps. And the soil here is actually pretty rich. We do have clay, but there's also just like thick layers of composted mulch and all sorts of other stuff. I don't know what well, long ago this property used to be an animal rescue. After that, I don't know what they did on here, but like this whole area along the back fence is piled high with mulch, which is kind of annoying because it's spread out everywhere, but it's been nice because I've been able to use it in my garden and not buy mulch. Like back there, it's full of junk. Like people were dumping their junk on the property. I don't know why anybody in their right mind would do that. So that's also been part of the process. When we moved in, we had to rent a giant dumpster, which is like $900 to put trash in. And that was like right after we moved. That was kind of an unexpected expense. So, yeah, I don't know. We have a shed. Also came on the property. These guys are so funny. Can you see? They're just chilling. So we got these chickens, these highlines. We got 30 highline chickens from a local regenerative farmer. And I guess every year he buys a bunch of eggs or something, or little chicks, and he raises them and then sells them off. But when he does that, he keeps them in confinement. And what happens when they're in confinement like that is they peck at each other. You see his butt is like bare. I'm waiting for the feathers to regrow. I'm actually not sure if they will. But a lot of these chickens are missing feathers on their rear end because they were pecking at each other for however many weeks. I need to refill their water. I've been trying to go out of my way to find solutions for the animals so they can stay hydrated. And we have lots of shade on the property, so luckily they can stay in the shade, but also they obviously need to have plenty of readily available water to drink. So I have this little pool set up and they really like it. It works just fine. We have other watering systems around the yard where they are as well. It's worked out great, I think. When we first got the Highlines, also another thing that we had to kind of figure out. Again, everything's really been on the job training. Like you go from like not knowing this problem could even exist to, all right, we basically have to find a solution immediately. It can be a little bit stressful, but again, like it's fun, it's challenging, and it turns up like our creative thinking, our abstract thought, and I think in the long run it'll be great for the kids too. Anyways, the Highline chickens were laying really thin shells, eggs with thin shells. So we went and got some stuff to mix in with their feed, and it seems like that helped a lot. We just got some oyster shells. Of course, they're foraging for bugs and worms and stuff, but this was back when we had just gotten them. So we had only had them for a week or two, and it wasn't every single egg that was thin, but a few of them, I mean, you picked it up and barely applied any pressure and it would just crack in your hand, which is annoying, especially because we're selling our eggs. We also have a couple of goats that came with the property. Say hi. This is Molly. Oh no, that's Buddy. Hey Buddy. The dogs and the goats don't get along all that well. Here's Ty and Cooper. Hey boys. I'll come say hi to you. Hi. Oh, big stretch. Molly's around here somewhere, our other goat. I think she's over there if you can see her. The chickens actually really love hanging out in this corner because it's shaded and it protects them from the hawks. Hey boys, hi. So we did also get 2 Great Pyrenees. I love these boys. They are sweethearts. They're over here right now because they ate a few of our chickens. You're being punished, but we still love you. I don't know how big it is. It's big enough for a first-time garden. I literally have never gardened before. I've never grown anything in my life. So here's the garden. We just it's like a rectangle. And this particular spot felt like a good spot. It's close to the water source. A lot of it gets sun, full sun, except for this spot right here, which I didn't really know until the garden was built, but that's fine. I can get creative with what I plant there. But I had planted a bunch of summer stuff for my summer garden, spring summer garden. And when we were out of town, the pigs got out of their pasture and came over here, dug up the fence. I don't know if you can see all those areas where it's dug up, like right here. Big old pig-sized hole in my fence. They pushed the fence out. There's other spots all over there, all around basically, where the pigs just destroyed it. And then once the pigs got in, the chickens followed. And within a couple of days, every single plant that was growing was just gone. So that was kind of devastating for me, but in reality, it's fine. Even if I wasn't fine with it, I would have to be fine with it because this is one of those situations where I feel like if I were to remain upset over it, it wouldn't change the outcome. I'm trying to sit on this swing, but I think I'm gonna fall. Can I do it? Oh, yes. And shoot. Okay. Me getting upset over it would not change anything. There's literally nothing I can do at this point to recover. It's too late in the season. Again, we live in the Charleston, South Carolina area. It's now June 16th. It's too late for me really to plant too much. I went and so my whole garden I had started from seed. It's just too late for me to start anything from seed right now for this time of year. So I went and bought a couple of tomato plants and a basil plant. It's hard to find anything at stores right now that looks good and isn't fried or dying. So, you know, I put those in pots out front, away from the animals. And my plan is to try and recover the garden here. And you might be able to tell because there's an open patch over there. I am doing no-dig gardening. And again, because we want to disturb the earth as little as possible, or at least not be aggressive with how we disturb the earth. And I stumbled upon this method from the Homestead. And she found it through Charles Dowding, who lives in England somewhere. But the concept is you lay down cardboard. Ideally 3-6+ months before you plan to plant. and then you compost on top of that around 6 inches, and sorry, not roots, but weeds aren't strong enough to grow up through the cardboard. And the cardboard, so long as you don't get like painted or coated cardboard, it just composts itself. So you're able to have a garden you don't have to dig out of your ground, a garden with little weeds, so lower maintenance throughout your season. And well, yeah, so that's what I did. I laid down a bunch of cardboard, put down compost, planted my seeds. What I did not do properly was put enough compost. Again, compost costs money. We had just moved here, so we didn't have a store of compost built up. And that's still on our list of things to do. We need to build like a compost shed or bin, something, so I can start throwing clippings and whatnot. Anywho, getting off track. Because we were spending so much money trying to get the house in order, get the property to where we wanted it, I was trying to pinch here and there, and we ordered, I think we ordered 4 yards, maybe 5 yards of compost, and I was trying to make that last as much as, all in all, I probably only covered the garden with 4 yards of compost, which didn't end up being that much. And so I kind of had to make my rows not as thick as I should have, and my plants ended up not growing all that well. And it could be from other factors. It just seemed like they were stunted. Some of my tomatoes did all right. The bees and the peas took off. Those did well. And my strawberries were producing. Those were doing all right. But everything else was just like nothing. So I think this time around, what my plan is going to be is, number one, actually plot out my garden ahead of time. I didn't have the time to do that in the first place. I kind of just put things wherever wherever I ended up putting them in the moment, without plan. And this time I'm going to be more purposeful on where I put things, do more companion planting, pay attention more to that corner that's shaded probably half the day. And I'm also going to put down 2 to 3 times more compost, because a lot of that cardboard still has not decomposed. And hope for the best. I still have to repair the fence as well. So, I mean, repairing the fence and putting that much compost down is quite a task. So it's going to take me a while. But I have, it's June now, I probably have 6 to 8 weeks before I need to start putting anything in the ground. So I've got time. Turns out having a garden is a lot of work, a lot more work than I thought it would be, which is fine. I'm not against working. I just didn't think it would, I didn't know it would be this much work. I think that setting up your garden is probably, well, what do I know? I would imagine setting up your garden is the biggest hump to get over, and then maintaining it just takes purposeful attention a little bit every day. One thing that we've learned being here, and you know, one of the hardest lessons for me to learn, because I'm a planner deep down, I like to know how things are going to go, or at least have a rough structure of how things are going to go. You can't hold too fast to plans. You have to be flexible and able and willing to pivot. And so we kind of set loose goals for ourselves, loose plans, and because you do have to budget for a lot of these things, and the lead time on things is pretty long when they cost 40 to 50 grand. But you can make plans, and you can make small incremental steps to achieve those plans. So yeah, that's like a very brief tour and update of what we've got going on here.